Welcome to WYCD Wicked, that stands for What You Can Do. My name is Jake, and today I would very much like to speak with the MAGA voters of the world. Until recently, our focus, at least for 2026, has been showing you what progressives actually believe, and I think you will find that, for the most part, people are giving you wrong impressions of what progressives actually believe. In fact, who progressives even are. I've heard MAGA voters associate us with Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, etc. And I got to tell you, that is essentially a list of our top enemies. So you can understand if there's been some consternation on our end regarding that. But I also understand a little bit of the way you behave towards us if you think those are the people. If you think those are the people we support, they're mutual enemies. But today, I want to talk about what you believe to be true, what you're currently supporting, and how you are losing your rights, I think, because of what you are supporting thoughtlessly. Let's say hi to the gang. Natchikit, great to see you. Cat67, Cat, hello. It is great to see you. Keanu Gallo, hello. And not so private playlist, brother, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to need you to address the allegations that there's a civilian network communication line targeting ICE officials. I have not heard those allegations. I don't know what you mean by targeting. I've been pretty open about saying that ICE officials are criminals. They are behaving in a criminal manner, and I think they should face criminal prosecution. But basically every progressive, their whole thing is not having such a thing as extrajudicial killings. So I would suspect that you are being lied to by people who have an interest in you not talking to me. That's essentially what I think is happening. I think that is the same thing that happens the other way. They try to get us angry at you so that we won't talk to you. And I think the reason for that is ultimately you and I suspect, share the same economic concerns, primarily that big business or oligarchs or whatever name you have for them, but the 0.0001%, the handful of people in this world that have over $10 billion, are allowed to freely buy elections, and that's what they don't want us addressing. Also, the Epstein files, but it's two sides of the same coin. They pretend that they care about your issues and mine, and they pretend like you and I hate each other so much that we're acting irrationally, and then they say, respond quickly now to that irrational person. Shoot, I thought there was a follow up to that. Targeting, oh, there was targeting, sure, yes, like showing up or following them around. Apparently, they're doing that outside of hotels. Oh, that I 100% support. I think public shaming is good. I think, frankly, I'd like to see you joining us in that, because even if you agree in ICE's goal, which I obviously disagree with, I think they're responding to a non existent problem. But even if you agree with ICE's goal, you should be appalled by how they're going about it. This is the most unprofessional group of knuckleheads I've ever seen. Uh, they escalate situations every opportunity they get. They panic when they hear whistles. Thus far, and I have a card donated to me by an anti-ICE group. I will tell you exactly what people are being instructed to do who resist ICE. Let me read it to you. If you see ICE or Border Patrol activity, use the whistle loud and repeatedly. If you hear a whistle, go towards the sound, bringing everyone you pass along the way. Crowds are our effective weapon that we use to protect each other. Do not physically interfere. They want us to stand around and document so that you can see what's actually happening, so that you don't have to just rely on the Fox News propaganda line that will, no matter what, say that ICE has never done anything wrong ever, 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 and that all brown people are out to get you, and that anybody who's a brown person lover is out to get you as well. They're lying to us. And you know how free I've been with the admission that Barack Obama, Joe Biden, name a Democrat that has had power. They lie to us as well. But this will never change so long as we keep believing their lies at face value. We have videos in the streets now. There have been 3 U.S. citizens murdered by ICE since this began. And I'm not using that word to be inflammatory. I think that's an accurate description of what has happened. 3 U.S. citizens. You want me to use a different word? I shall. Killed by ICE extrajudicially. Oh my God, extrajudicially without a trial. They were executed in the streets. Every time that's happened, I've had waves of you coming on here telling me, well, they were asking for it in some way. The most recent one, Alex Preddy, was killed for being a gun owner. And I think that should deeply affect you, because this is the exact sort of thing that I just spent the last 10 years hearing the right wing tell me was going to be the case when a left winger got in power, that simply having a gun would get you shot. Alex Preddy did not draw his weapon. We're going to show you a video of Kristi Noem lying to you directly in a moment. But understand, you don't have to utterly change your entire viewpoint on, let's say, border security to acknowledge that Noem is lying to you. I'm going to ask you to look at this with an open mind. Yeah, Obama deported over 3 million people. He surely did. And he also, well, I go on this rant every time. He also killed a guy, but I have not seen anyone fighting with cops. And the closest it came was Alex Preddy. He stood in between ICE and the woman they were assaulting. And they sprayed mace in her face and in his face. Then they threw him down and then they shot him. Do you see what I'm talking about here? You guys have yet to see any of the video that I'm talking about. Wherein I'm telling you that I'm about to play something that demonstrates that you've been lied to. But you're jumping in here to say, don't break the law. This is not breaking the law. This is observing ICE doing their jobs. You say, you idiots fighting for literal criminals. We're fighting for Liam, a 5-year-old boy who was snatched up by ICE. He didn't do anything wrong. We're fighting for the 9-year-old who's being held in the Dilley Detention Center in Texas. We're fighting for the 98% of detainees which have broken no law. Let me say that again. 98% of the people, that's pretty darn close to all people snatched up by ICE, have broken no law. Sit with that for a moment. What I'm telling you. Do you know they killed a Canadian citizen last year? Sincerely, I'm asking if you're aware of this. Now, this guy in the past had committed a crime in America, and he had served his time and been released from prison. So he was guilty only of having once done a crime, once upon a time, which we had forgiven him for now, and being an immigrant. He died last year. Gorilla wrenching, that's what I'm trying to tell you. The fact that I'm getting such a boisterous response to even the suggestion that a official is lying to you about video evidence that I'm going to play for you, so you'll be able to see the evidence yourself. I would suggest that means if I have blinders, clearly so do you. And again, I'd like to point out, I'm not even asking you to change your mind about ICE entirely in this moment. I think you probably will inevitably. But I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to acknowledge the simple fact that you are being lied to. Let's play it. Let's not dance around this. I'm going to share with you now footage of Alex Preddy's death. All right.
We want to warn you that some of the video is hard to watch.
Right there. That's Alex Preddy on camera. Do you see him? Do you see that he has already approached ICE? Let's just start with this. And I'm not trying to do a gotcha here, but I am trying to communicate with you. Now, Dirk Jensen says, you weak traitors are next. I presume that's what that means. Next for what? Summary execution? What are we next for, Dirk? Let's start with that. Please do tell me. Stay home and shut your stupid mouths. That sounds like you're not a big fan of freedom of speech. That sounds like you don't want me to be able to express my opinion freely in the United States of America. Would you say that 5 years ago you considered yourself to be against freedom of speech? Sincerely, I'm not being sarcastic. Is this a belief you've always held? Is what I'm asking. And I'm specifically asking you, Dirk. Being held accountable for your treason. I could ask you, what do you mean by treason? But let's jump back up to You think we've got to stay home and shut our stupid mouths or presumably die because you said you weak traitors are next. So I ask the question again. Do you believe in freedom of speech, Dirk Jensen? Dirk Jensen says, "Oh, shut up. Your asymmetry isn't a shield for you anymore. You don't get rights." See, that's the core of the problem, Dirk. They try to get you to take away the other side's rights as though it doesn't also take away your rights. But I wonder how long it's going to be before demanding the lawful release of the Epstein files gets classified as domestic terrorism. There has been asymmetry. You're not going to like finding out which side it's been on. But historically, there has been violent retribution by the government for expressing left wing ideas. The woohoo boy. Uh, there we are. Historically, that is the case. What concerns me so much is that you seem to have bought hook, line, and sinker. The very thing that they try so hard to sell you, the very thing which is necessary for the erosion of US rights. If you don't like, for example, the fact that we are getting spied on constantly, two things you can thank for that. Number one is Barack Obama. You could also argue George W. Bush, but Obama had a chance to undo it and he didn't. So I will take the blame for this one in the form of having voted for the man. Barack Obama, you can thank for that. Number two is the war on terror. Back then, they tried to get you afraid of terrorists, and so they said you have to give up your right to not be spied on a whim by the U.S. government to get the terrorists. You see, do you think that's what they've been using it for? It's not. But let's go back up, Dirk. Stay home and shut your stupid mouths, you say. And then you're saying this is a war. Defend our nation and our people. Let me ask everybody but Dirk. I think Dirk needs a moment to gather himself because he, as you can see, he's trying very hard to distract. You've been doing this for years. Now you get to taste the fire. Do you think that law enforcement has has gone after the right with any sort of zeal? I don't, but I've been wrong in the past. I'm interested by you, Dirk. I'm interested because I think you are an example of the sort of person who has fallen for the scams that keep us all down. And I want you to get woke, Dirk. I want to wake you up. I want you to learn what woke really means. Yeah, it was a black thing. It was invented by the black community, but it is not a racial message, shockingly. It's simply understanding that we are in a system, and that system, by design, does not care about us. That system works very hard to get you and me arguing rather than taking power away from George Soros or Bill Gates or Elon Musk or anybody else who gets to buy elections and then have laws written that give them more and more of your labor, the profit from it. Oh, there we go. You've been using rights as subversive weapons, says Dirk Jensen. And now you're getting the pointy end of the stick and you're going to like it. This sounds very sexually charged, Dirk Jensen. And I'm not trying to goad you here. I just mean probably unintentionally. This sounds very sexually charged. But let me get straight to it. Rights are not subversive weapons against anybody except the government and for you. Even if those rights are used to defend somebody you don't like in court, what makes them rights is that you get them too. I would say we use them as a weapon, but not a violent weapon. So perhaps a tool? We use them as a tool to ensure lawful conduct within our country. And I think that's reasonable. Now, here's something that's happened that I'd like to point out to all of you. I've lost track of the conversation because I'm attempting to answer each one of Dirk's questions. I've in fact even lost track of Dirk's most recent answer, and he has successfully gotten us to avoid watching the video. That is what we call a microcosm. That is a small event that tells you a lot about how the larger events work. Every time you have a good point, when we hear about it, it gets dotted with those little moments that are meant to distract progressives. Case in point, you guys, whether you realized it or not at the time, were correct about QAnon, broadly speaking. That has been a hard pill to swallow. But it's true. There was and remains a conspiracy of diddlers running the US government. And Donald Trump was involved. Not involved in the way Q said, but I mean, that's pretty darn good guesswork. Even setting the Trump part of it aside, even if you only want to focus on the Democratic diddlers, we would have loved to have the accused Democrats out of the picture. We progressives would have, but we did not listen to you. Why did we not listen to you? Because we thought you were lying. Because we thought you were lying about everything instead of just the details that you got wrong. And you could have just been earnestly misinformed about those details. But do you see the problem? We missed 4 years of opportunity to pressure Joe Biden about the Epstein files. We missed the entire presidency, the first time through of Trump, first term. There we go. We missed, everything that happened since Jeffrey Epstein got the sweetheart deal from Alexander Acosta because we did not believe you. And it's happening now again. It continually happens. We do this dance. They get you to argue with me and me to argue with you with what I am calling the manager theory, or the assistant manager theory. They get somebody who does not set store policy, that's you and me, to be the target of your complaints, knowing that your complaints will go nowhere. It will just turn into frustration, and it will make your complaints nastier next time. They desperately want us arguing with each other. Let me remind you before we go on, 2 things. Number 1, I suspect that we share the same desire to get George Soros out of politics entirely. I suspect that we do. Number 2, we are both being lied to. Now, I do a show very often telling progressives how they're being lied to, why they're being lied to, etc., etc. But I'd like to take a moment to show you that you are being lied to. And I guess thing number 2, part B, I'm not asking you to change your stance on ICE. Truly, I'm not tonight. I just want to see if you can acknowledge that Kristi Noem should not be leading this thing, because Kristi Noem lies to you. Here's the video again. Now, what do you see there? I'll show you Alex Preddy's whole death, and I ask you not to celebrate death. Remember Charlie Kirk. Remember how you felt. Don't celebrate death. Just observe what happened here. Oi, there we go. Just observe what happened here.
This video shows Alex Preddy face.
You'll notice He is holding a cell phone.
To face with.
You see that cell phone? Does Alex Preddy look like someone you might know? Could easily be me. He is holding a cell phone, not a gun. And the person who is pushing him, by the way, they're putting their hands on him. That's unnecessary. But the person who is pushing him can see that he has no gun. So can everybody.
The federal agent on Nicollet Avenue. He's holding a phone as the agent pushes him toward the sidewalk. Another angle shows Preddy walking into the street, helping to direct traffic.
Again, you saw his hands there, empty except for the phone.
When an agent pushes.
Now, what did you just see? Let's show that again. That's a woman who is holding her phone, blowing a whistle, and standing. Even if you disagree with her, she did nothing to earn physical assault by an officer.
Angle shows Preddy walking into the street, helping to direct traffic.
Look at the
when
woman.
An agent pushes a woman into a.
She gets pushed. Now, let me ask you, folks in the crowd, for a moment. If you saw an out-of-control officer, let's say you see somebody dressed like a cop, except they're not wearing their pants, and they're running around town with their service weapon out, and they're shooting tires on cars. And they shoot every tire on the street until their weapon is empty. Then you see they've got a bottle of booze in their other hand. They polish it off, they throw it down, and they start to reload. What would you do? I'm not asking, are you against cops? I'm not asking you to go join any movement. I'm just asking, in the scenario I've presented to you, what would you do? Let's see. And this, well, it is hypothetical. It's hypothetical because I want to sincerely get an answer to this hypothetical question. Would you, oh, okay, call the cops. Okay, that's reasonable. What the are you asking, bro? Well, I'm asking what you would do if you saw a cop clearly, so somebody who does have the authority to carry a gun, clearly exceeding their authority and being dangerous. I feel like it's a reasonable question. Subdue, says Srikanth. I would attempt to as well. If I saw an obviously drunk cop wearing no pants, clearly not performing their job in the way they're supposed to, yes, I would subdue, and I would assume that a court would find me innocent. I would not be there in the first place. Yeah, step up, talk, attempt to de-escalate. That's reasonable, I think. In this case, I'm going to ask you a non-hypothetical then. What would you do if you saw a grown man who responded to a lady who had her phone out and was blowing a whistle? If you saw him shove a cop. I'm not going to show you what Alex did yet. I just want to ask you sincerely. I said shove a cop. That doesn't make sense. If you saw an ICE agent shove a lady who was blowing a whistle. Genuinely want to know what you would do. And I'm not trying to badger you. I'm just curious. You can't do anything. They're going to come at you with that stupid tough cop stuff. Maybe. I wouldn't jump in the middle, that's for sure. Interesting. So you would allow that lady to get assaulted. Watch and record, that's a reasonable response, sure. Mind your own business. You just put your head down, let that lady get pushed down. Would you let her get beaten, kicked? If you were watching a cowboy movie and the marshal in a town started shoving around one of the barmaids, what would you want the hero of the movie to do? You got to answer that for yourself. You really do. But I'll show you what Alex did. And again, even if you think it was illegal, it was, in my opinion, and I think any reasonable person's opinion, I think in your opinion, shortly, it was nonviolent. It's not worthy of getting shot.
Snowbank, he goes to help. That's when the agent begins.
He helps her up. Who said they would help her up? Who said they would help her up? Clay said they would help her up. Clay, your instinct there to help the lady up out of the snow that she just got pushed into, unprovoked, by the way. Your instinct is the same as Alex Preddy's. Now let's see what would happen to you. I'm sorry to do this, but this is exactly what happened, and this is exactly what followed.
Spraying Preddy in the face.
They maced him. They maced her.
When Preddy goes to help the woman again, several agents grab him and
They swarmed them both.
throw him down.
Honestly.
From this angle, you can see Preddy being held down. You can see an agent in a gray jacket approach with empty hands, while other agents appear to be hitting Preddy.
Do you notice they're beating him? So far, what Alex Preddy did was record on his phone, direct traffic away from the kerfuffle, or through, I suppose. And when a woman was assaulted by ICE, he helped her up. I mean, it's assault when you escalate to violence where none was needed. That is what we're talking about here. He helped her up. In exchange for that, the woman got maced. He got maced. They started beating him. And now you will see his death.
Police brutality! They are hitting that observer!
The man in gray appears to pull something from Preddy's.
I do want to point out that they're beating him while they're holding him down. That's the character of the folks you're talking about here.
Waist. Then, the first shot. You can hear at least 10 shots after that.
What did you just do?
The agents back away, but return.
Clay, you're a good man. If you were there at the time, you would not be here now. Oh, hey, I have my first I got my first person I'd actually like to ban. Look at that. Although I don't know how I can pass up this offer. I can get viewers at streamboo.com. You see my point? They escalated. They behaved unprofessionally. And you don't have to be against all of ICE to acknowledge that they did, in fact, behave poorly. And they killed somebody because of the way they behaved. But you don't even have to believe me there. I'm not even truly asking you to share that opinion. I'm just asking you to acknowledge that you saw Alex Preddy approach without a gun and at no point draw a gun before he was killed. Do we acknowledge that? Here's Christy Noem. Here's what she told you about this person. This is arguably
An individual approach.
What you came into this stream thinking happened.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
Chat, I'm going to ask you honestly. You just saw the video. Did they approach U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun? I'm genuinely asking you, folks. Agreed. They approached with a cell phone. We've never seen the unedited video. You just saw. He did have a gun, correct. He was a gun owner. He was a gun owner. Was he brandishing the gun? Did he threaten anybody with the gun? Do you want it to be an executable offense to own and carry, lawfully, I'll add, a firearm? If you allow them to lie to you like this, if you allow Kristi Noem to get away with saying, well, look, he's a gun owner, so he approached them with a handgun, they will take away your right to own a firearm. You'll be taking away your right to own a firearm. Seeing people say yes. In what way? You just now with your own eyes. I know you saw that he had a cell phone out. He didn't have a gun out, and it's not illegal to possess a gun. Correct, Jay Dizzle. She didn't say he had the gun drawn. You're right. For this moment, right here, this is why she didn't say that. What would you have assumed if you hadn't seen the video? Would you assume that he had it out or not? Would you assume that he flashed it? Would you assume that to the ICE agents, the gun was relevant before they started punching him? How about before they started assaulting the woman next to him? Again, they put his hands on him for the crime of helping a lady up out of the snow. These are the lies she is telling to you. They said approached officers with a handgun, letting you fill in the blanks with whatever propaganda tells you to fill it in with. Hoping that you will let this pass. Hoping that you will have no standards, none whatsoever, for ICE. That's a lie that she's telling. Bear in mind, I tore into Mallory McMurrow, somebody from my state who is a progressive, or at least claims to be a progressive. I tore into her because instead of health care for all, she switched to health care access for all. And if that seems like splitting hairs, I'm telling you it's not. Because it's a lie. Because she wants us to think she means health care for all, when actually what she means is no change to your current healthcare system. This is Kristi Noem doing the same thing. He approached them with a gun. You mean he was a gun owner with a concealed carry permit? Yes, he was. That's not why they murdered him.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
When in his killing just then did you see him react violently? Because I'll tell you what I saw. I saw a woman get shoved down unprompted by ICE. Again, recording people and blowing a whistle does not make it okay to assault somebody. I saw Alex Preddy help her up like a gentleman should. Then they swarmed them both, sprayed mace in their face, and started beating them. You just saw the cell phone footage, Nadia. You just saw the cell phone footage. There's no scenario. Even if while he was down, he went for his gun, which I didn't see happen. I've watched that part of the video too many times for my soul to bear another one. But I didn't see him going for a gun, certainly. But even if he had, they threw him down and started beating him. They were holding him down and punching him. How would you behave? I'll tell you, you don't know. They escalated knowingly. It makes me very sad to see you guys behaving like this. I'll put the shame on screen. Here's what I think deep down. I think you know you're being irrational. I think you know you are participating in lies when you say these things. And I think you justify it within your own head by telling yourself that's what the other side must be doing. I'll tell you, that's not my impression, certainly, of progressives. But even if it was, the answer to get us out of this state we've been in, this decline of America throughout the world, is not to double down on the lies, is not to continue supporting the liars. Did you know that Trump has made more money in this term than at any other point of his life, including the inheritance he got from his father, including when he was on The Apprentice? He's made more money as president for 1 year in his second term than at any other point in his whole life. He's not there for you. He's your Obama. And I know you think we love Obama. That's a problem. They've convinced you of that. They've put in a lot of work and a lot of money to convince you of that. Do you know what Obama was for us, actually? The death of a movement. It was the death of the progressive movement in America. Following the war in Iraq, America was ready for change. Obama promised literally change. It would have been the first time we had a progressive, possibly ever, if he had been who he said he was, but he wasn't. He was a liar. And he kept telling us right up until his last day in office, he was going to do so much that we cared about. Trump is your Obama. Obama lied. Trump is lying. And you won't get any of the things that he's promising unless you pressure him, unless you demand a certain degree of professionalism, at the very least. There's irony here, Tony. There's irony. What do you think I saw that's wrong? I'm talking to Tony Kaiser. What is it you think that I didn't get right about that video? When you say that I saw what I wanted to see, because what I saw was a guy approaching ICE with his phone out. I saw him help up a lady that was shoved down unjustly by ICE. And then I saw ICE throw the man down, beat him, and execute him. What do you think I missed, Tony? Maybe he had a gun on him. I believe he did have a gun on him because he had the right to it. I didn't see his hand go for it. Certainly at no point when he was vertical. He just happened to show up for the 9mm and 3 extra clips that don't make no sense. You just saw the same video I did, Tony. You just saw the very same thing I did. At what point did you see him draw a gun? If you think I missed something clearly, I mean, I wouldn't put it quite so harshly, lacquer box, but I think that's more or less what we're dealing with. Yeah, somebody exercised their Second Amendment rights. I will say they exercised them only by owning a firearm, not by drawing it. Tony, I do want an actual response. Here we go. You put yourself in a compromising situation. Everything's compromised, your safety, your life, everything. He had no business being there with a 9 millimeter with 3 clips. Tony, do you think a man should or should not be allowed to walk around with a gun in the United States of America? It's a sincere question. Well, you say you go looking for trouble, you're going to get it. Back to the question, Tony. Should a man be allowed to walk around in the United States of America with a firearm or not? It's not a sarcastic question. And yes, Lackerbox points out it doesn't matter the amount of clips he had. Second Amendment, same principle. What's that got to do with the price of chickens? Because the man, I'm confused that you're confused. We just saw the video. You just saw that he did not draw his gun. So if you're suggesting that it's okay for them to have killed him simply because he had a gun, I presume that means you're saying it's okay to just execute anybody that's carrying around a gun. What else does it mean? And as far as interfering with ICE operations, blowing a whistle, recording on a phone, the blowing of the whistle is only to get more people there recording with phones. And by the way, it works. We have multiple angles of this man's murder. Tony, what are your thoughts? This is not the topic we were on, so remember it's about a man losing his life. Have you forgotten? It's why he lost his life, Tony. We were on the topic of why Alex Preddy was killed by ICE. And I'm hearing folks trying to justify it by saying, well, he had a gun. What's illegal about having a gun in America? Is it not you all that spend so much time making the point that Americans are supposed to be able to carry around guns if they want? This man was carrying around a gun. He wasn't brandishing the gun. He didn't point it at anybody. So why does him having a gun, which you brought up, justify his murder? Yeah, another good point. Magazines, not clips. Also, if a guy protests something, does it deserve the death penalty? I would say no. As a matter of fact, the Constitution says no. Kyle Rittenhouse hired to be there on that car lot to guard the cars. Not sure what that has to do with the price of chickens. The only change these people want is they want the Bible gone and God on they told me, so they don't want no God, they don't want no Jesus Christ, they don't want no Bible. I'm not sure where you're getting that. As a matter of fact, I have guarded a church. I've been a security guard for a church on a volunteer basis before, and I'm an atheist. I'm, in fact, a far left progressive. I have literally given my bone marrow at the request of a religious leader. Do you remember earlier when I was saying that there's a lot of effort put into giving you and I a wrong opinion of each other? And this goes for everybody watching right now. I'm going to ask you to do something. Don't respond to who you think I am. Just respond to what you've seen of me so far. The fact that They have you thinking that progressives would ever want to interfere with your right to practice your religion is shocking, disappointing, disheartening. And the reason for that is that religious freedom is one of the core beliefs of progressives. And you only hear about it when they are defending a religion that you're not a part of, because it's very important for the people who are tricking you to make you think that we like everybody but you. But like with the church and the bone marrow and the yada, 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 no, we include you in protections for religion. We include you in those who should enjoy the rights promised to us by the Constitution, which includes the free practice of whatever religion you so choose. Now, I happen to know there's a political party right now which is very free with making changes to the sacred text. There's a Trump Bible out there now, edited, of course. It's not progressives, though. Truly, it is not. Dr. Gregory Hensley says you cannot change minds that are not willing to change. You might be right, doctor. Let me put this out there though, because my mind has changed about MAGA in recent days. And I've had MAGA change my mind in recent days. I'm not trying to change their minds, however. I am simply trying to inform them. From one person who recently got screwed over by the scam they're falling for now, to somebody who is, I feel, working against their own interests. I'm simply trying to inform them of who their real enemies are. And I can't tell them the names because I don't know their belief structure, as I've demonstrated here. I don't know their belief structure well enough to know when they are being lied to, usually. Lately, we have had video evidence being contradicted by the official statements from the government, and that's made it very easy to demonstrate who the liars are. But my point is, well, you and I presume, generally may be voting in a similar manner. Well, you and I will be able to tell who on our side is lying because we understand the wants and needs of our side. It's got to be up to them to figure out who the liars are on their side. For example, if somebody promised you that they were going to repeal and replace healthcare and then they didn't, or if somebody were to say they're going to release their tax returns and then they didn't, then you'd know they were lying. If somebody told you, if somebody heavily implied that Alex Preddy was attempting to intimidate ICE with a gun, and then you see on video that he just had a cell phone out, and everybody on the scene knew that, then you know they're lying. And again, I will restate, I am not asking you to change your opinion about ICE. I hope you do, but that's not the point. The point of this is to show you that on this very important incident, one of 3 deaths in 2026 so far, it's just January, one of 3 deaths of US citizens, you were lied to. By the way, you were lied to about Renee Good as well. They said she tried to hit an officer with her car. Look at the way the wheels are angled and the last words she said. Last words she said, "I'm not mad at you, dude." And she angles her wheels away from the officer and tries to drive to safety because they were pulling on her car door, trying to drag her out. And I think, given the conduct we've seen, pretty good chance that they were going to do harm to her At least she had pretty good reason to believe they were going to try to do physical harm to her. So she tried to drive to safety. But what did Donald Trump say about that? He didn't only say that Jonathan Ross, the murderer of Renee Nicole Good, he didn't only say that he got hit by the car. It would have been more accurate to say he was nudged ever so slightly by the car, and the coward panicked and killed her. But, sorry, I got angry. I'm talking about the murder of a U.S. citizen. Let me try that again. He didn't just say that Jonathan Ross got nudged by the car or bumped by the car. Donald Trump told you on this very important matter that Renee Nicole Good ran over Jonathan Ross. That's not accurate, is it? She did not run him over, did she? But Trump said that's what happened. Noem just told you, or at least heavily implied, that Alex Preddy was being threatening with a gun. Trump, of that same shooting, said that he could have no other goal but to do a mass shooting. Did that look like what he was doing? Or did you just see him help a woman up out of the snow and then get killed for it? Let's see. Yuki says, nothing Trump says is accurate. That's a fact. I mean, almost everything he says does prove out to be true. No, she did not say that. All right, let's play it again. I believe the exact words. And you're right, by the way, Jay Dizzle. You are right to be particular about wording. But answer honestly, and you don't have to type it in the comments. Answer within your own heart for a moment here. When she said Alex Preddy, or whoever, the suspect, approached ICE with a gun, she said a 9mm. What did you imagine she was communicating to you? In fact, let's watch the whole thing. It's 60 seconds long. Let's listen to what she actually said, because you're not wrong to want specifics. I'm going to leave your comment up, even though it hides the only non-balding part of my face.
Fearing for his, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
Right there, we're going to play the rest, but right there, what does that sound like she's saying? You don't have to answer. I know you know. It was intentional. That's not an accident. By the way, how many people started this stream before I played any of that footage saying that that's what the guy was doing? I'll give you a hint. Most of them.
Officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
She said just then that the reason there was an altercation is that officers attempted to disarm this guy. What does that tell you? What events is she painting in your mind? Alex coming up with the gun out, them saying, whoa, put it down, put it down, put it down. Then he goes, ah, and then they fire. Something that would have been sad but legal. I'm not trying to harp on you. I'm saying, even if you totally agree with the mission of ICE, you know I disagree with it. I'm not asking you to take my side on that. Even if you totally agree with the mission of ICE, what she is doing here is misinforming you, and willfully so. Let's let it finish.
Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately.
Defensive shots into his back.
immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. This
That's true.
individual showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers.
Assaulted? Did you see him assault the officers? I didn't. We played the video. He helped the lady up when they started physically attacking him, when they sprayed chemicals in his eyeballs. Then they threw him down, and while they were holding him down, they were punching him in the head. Jay Dizzle, I'm going to scroll to the bottom, so I'll need a new comment, and I'm sorry, there's too many going by. But I'm sincerely asking you, and I'm not trying to put you in an awkward position. Play it again? All right. After this, Jay Dizzle, I am going to ask you, do you think Kristi Noem is being honest? I'm going to play it from the start.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene.
Now let's play the video again of the death of Alex Preddy. An individual, she says, approached officers with a gun. There he is holding a camera, getting pushed by the officers while holding a camera. He's saying words. Pushed, pushed, pushed. Now remember, Kristi Noem. Oh my God, I didn't play the thing. You're right. Let me try that again. I'm sorry. That's on me.
Phone as the agent face to face with a federal agent on Nicollet Avenue. He's holding a phone as the agent pushes him toward the sidewalk. Another angle shows Preddy walking into the street, helping to direct traffic. When an agent pushes a woman into a snowbank, he goes.
She said the reason that they attacked him was they were afraid for her life. They were afraid for their lives.
To help. That's when the
You see, as he helps her up,
agent
when they
begins
start
spraying
attacking
Preddy
him.
in the face.
Spraying him in the face.
It's when Preddy goes to help the woman again, several agents grab him and throw him down.
Honestly.
From this angle, you can see Preddy being held down. You can see an agent in a gray jacket approach with empty hands, while other agents appear to be hitting Preddy.
That is police brutality. They are hitting that observer.
The man in gray appears to pull something from Preddy's waist. Then, the first shot. You can hear at least 10 shots after that.
Did you just do?
The agents back away, but return.
Come on.
In this video, you can hear what they are saying.
All right. Oh my God. I'm so bad at this job. I didn't play the video. Yeah, you're not showing the video. All right. It's fast. I'm going to show the video again. I'm so sorry. And I'm going to watch on my
It's
own.
when Preddy goes to help. Another angle shows Preddy walking into the street, helping to direct traffic. When an agent pushes a woman into a snowbank, he goes to help. That's when the agent begins spraying Preddy in the face. It's when Preddy goes to help the woman again, several agents grab him and throw him down.
Honestly.
From this angle, you can see Preddy being held down. You can see an agent in a gray jacket approach with empty hands, while other agents appear to be hitting Preddy.
Hey, that is police brutality. They are hitting that observer.
The man in gray appears to pull something from Preddy's waist. Then, the first shot. You can hear at least 10 shots after that.
Did you just do?
The agents back away, but return.
Come on.
In this video, you can hear what they are saying.
All right, Jay Dizzle, I'm sorry for all that wind up and my utter incompetence. I never claimed to be a smart man. But the point stands. Based on the press conference you saw with Kristi Noem, where she said that agents feared for their lives, which is why they killed him, where she said that Alex Preddy approached them with a gun and that they tried to disarm him. Do you think she was lying or not? I'm just asking Jay Drizzle. And again, if Kristi Noem was lying, that doesn't mean necessarily that all of what ICE is doing is wrong. I'm just asking for an earnest assessment of one of the people who is informing you about the world right now. Do you think she was lying to you? What crime? Ed. I support him carrying his firearm, but you can't commit a crime while doing so. Is helping a woman up a crime now? Is recording the police a crime? Is blowing a whistle a crime? He was an observer. Carrying the gun in and of itself, as you and I seem to agree, is not a crime. But that's why he was killed. So what are we left with? I think a crime was committed. I think it was murder. But look, even if you don't think it was murder, it is very odd to take the stance that you think they did nothing wrong. I'll risk getting demonetized to show you their interactions again. Let's just look at it from a law enforcement point of view. You tell me if you think this is the way law enforcement should behave. First of all, they are masked, which means that people can impersonate them very easily. But setting that aside,
This video shows Alex Preddy face to face.
Physically pushing him out of the street. I don't normally see police behaving that way in conversations. Notably, these are not police. But as law enforcement, it's unusual to see escalation like this.
With a federal
It's the sort of thing you see from panicky rookies, which these are. But if we demand no oversight whatsoever, this will be the only reputation ICE ever has ever again.
agent on Nicollet Avenue. He's holding a phone as the agent pushes him toward the sidewalk. Another angle shows
Look at it from
Preddy
this angle.
walking into the street, helping to direct traffic. When an agent pushes
Now hold on. Is what you just saw the way you believe law enforcement should behave? A woman is blowing a whistle and recording on her phone. You see that? ICE shoves her. They assault that woman. Right there. Forget everything else about this. Is that how you think law enforcement should be allowed to behave in the United States of America? To get angry at somebody, and so they shove them? What's to stop me from just boxing that guy? Why? If assault is okay, all right, hands up then. Let's go. You're trying to paint the picture that what Noem was trying to make it seem like he was waving a gun around. I think that is what she was saying. Let's look at her words again, because I will admit this. I'm coming into this with a bias, and you seem, Jay Drizzle, like a reasonable man that disagrees with me. That means you're exactly who I want to talk to, because I would like my bias to be counteracted by frank conversation. I think she was trying to give you the impression that this guy was waving the gun around and brought his death upon himself. Let's see what she said, though.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
That is why she says he died, that he approached the officers with a gun. She doesn't say that it was on his person but not in his hands, which is a valuable piece of information given the rest of what she says. And then she says that officers attempted to disarm him and that he reacted violently to the attempt to disarm him. Is that what you saw? You just watched his death a dozen times. Is that what you saw? I saw he tried to help a woman up that got pushed down. Then he got maced in his eyeballs for it. They threw him down, started beating him. I didn't see him react violently. Did you? Jay Dizzle, honestly, did you see him acting violently? Well, this is concerning. Looking for Jay Dizzle in the comments. Scanning the comments. We have a surprising amount of them. I didn't in that video. Fair enough. That's my point. It's that, and again, I'm not asking you to change your mind in this instance about the operation ICE is carrying out. I'm not asking you to suddenly start voting for the lefties. Go on voting for whoever you're voting for. I'm just asking you to have a higher standard of behavior from them, to not be so free with their lies, to not be so loosey-goosey with the terminology they use. Look at how you demanded of me accuracy with my words, and you were right to do so. You were right to do so. Just asking you to apply that standard to them as well. And when they fall short of that standard, demand some manner of righting the ship. For example, replacing Kristi Noem. Or at the very least, demanding that Kristi Noem get out there and set the record straight. One thing she could have done, as an example, is to say it was a chaotic situation and we don't know what happened yet. I saw the videos. They are disturbing. I ask you, America, withhold judgment until we can be absolutely certain what happened. And then if it turned out that while he was down, he did try to pull his gun while he was getting beaten and maced, I think understandable, but okay, let's not dwell. Then say what she said. Then say he tried to draw a gun and ICE shot him. Or if it turns out that he didn't try to draw his gun, and what happened instead is an ICE agent saw a gun and said gun, and then somebody panicked and shot him, for them to say, we understand that an ICE agent misinterpreted the situation in the heat of the moment, and as a result, killed Alex Preddy. We will not be releasing that ICE agent's name for his own safety. However, we have relieved them of their responsibilities on ICE, and they are no longer employed by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That would be a very reasonable way to handle this, even though I would still disagree with the mission of ICE. But what you are getting instead is, again, I stress, the same, it reeks of the stuff we got with Obama, where if you don't line up if you don't help the administration sell to the greater public their version of events, then you are somehow against the cause. Then you are somehow not a true believer. And I can tell you what comes of that. What comes of that is your version of Joe Biden next time around. Regression. Going back to the way things were, having America never trust your ideas for how government ought to run again. And as much as I would prefer that my team win in this whole who's going to fix America thing, I would rather either of our teams win than we go on suffering under neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is the out of control oligarchical structure that we have right now, where the George Soroses and the Bill Gates and the Elon Musks of the world and the APACs of the world are allowed to buy our elections. We are living through the worst case scenario right now. And for some of you, I can see you think it's a good thing. I only hope that before it's too late, you realize the jaws of the beast are closing around our throat. When AI and automation in general replaces, oh gosh, 12% of the workforce, a specific 12%, but just 12% of the workforce. When that happens, they won't need to ask us anymore. They won't even need to lie to us like they're lying to you right now anymore. Because then they won't need us. Then we are well and truly serfs. So before that happens, we need regulations in place that are going to prevent all these folks from being nobility in America, something we should have a distaste for. Now, this is fascinating, Mailer Soon. How much is Russia paying you? I have been in staunch opposition to Russia for at least, let me see here. At least 4 years. I, in fact, left my last job and started doing this independently because I was disgusted with our lack of frank discussion about how evil, frankly, Russia is. I find it interesting that you think I would be on Russia's side on anything. I, in fact, have to take steps to not go too harshly on Russia because my tendency is to just irrationally say anything they do is wrong. Left or got fired? Well, left, but at any moment for any job I've had, I could get fired. I'm not a fun person or particularly relatable in person. Lots of right-wingers have accepted money from Russia. It's been proven. Well, that's true. That is true. But I would point out that I am left of Bernie Sanders. Literally. I am a far left streamer. I stream on thisspace.tv, which has been promoted by the Majority Report and is a collection of the leftiest leftists on the internet. But that's just who I roll with. Then there's also my belief in universal health care, my desire to raise the cap on Social Security taxes. But here's why I think you think that I'm a right-wing fella. I think you think I'm a right-wing fella because when I said I wanted to get big money out of politics, I pointed out George Soros and Bill Gates, and also, in case you missed it, Elon Musk. And I think you're used to hearing people talking about those folks as code for something else, as code for, say, their religion or their whatever. I'm assuming, Mailer Soon, that you too are progressive and you too want big money out of politics. And I wonder if you understand that that includes people that are hated by people who otherwise disagree with you. Yeah, it is a classic dog whistle. You're not wrong, and I'm using it intentionally, but not as a dog whistle. I'm using it because these folks have not been trained to act irrationally around. I'm sorry, gang. I'm talking down about you. We all get trained. The point I'm making is that we are all susceptible to this, as we're learning right here from the left. It happened on the right earlier. Now it's happening on the left, and we're going to square it away because this is ultimately an economic debate. All of this. Since slavery, it's just been an economic debate. They tell us it's 1,000 other things. But when it comes down to it, it's thieves trying to get us to argue with each other so they can continue to thieve from us. I would just point this out to you, Mailer Soon. When you want to get big money out of politics, when you want to, say, tax the rich, that includes those people that I'm talking about. And you don't owe them anything, certainly not your allegiance, because they have no allegiance to you. And as far as the folks that use it as dog whistles, I know. And that's unfortunate. But we can use that. And I think we should use that. I think MAGA is not prepared for agreement. And from what I've seen, they are totally unaware of how much agreement there actually is. And I don't have my graphic up, but let me pitch it to you like this. On this side and this side, you have social issues. And on this side and this side, top and bottom, you have economic issues. And if you were to draw a circle, you would have every group in America represented. You would have progressives all the way, if you go all the way left on that circle as much as you can, you start going to the bottom, progressives. We care about, be frank with you, folks with melanin in their skin, equal rights for all, et cetera, et cetera. And we also care about economic issues for the poor. On this side, you got MAGA. They are told constantly that folks with melanin in their skin, or folks from other countries, or folks from other religions are somehow their enemies. And yet, despite that, they are able to understand, in my opinion, sorry, I'm talking bad about you, but at least I'm doing it while you can hear. They are able to understand that there is an economic issue. But when you go back up here, who's in the center up here? Up here in the center, you got people that don't really care about the social issues. And they only care about the economic issues. But crucially, they don't agree with you on the economic issues. Crucially, they want you to stay poor. They want you to die in the gutter so that they can go on, I don't know, sipping caviar out of golden goblets. I don't know what they do with their time. Well, I guess I know some of what they do with their time, so that they can go on little kids. I think we are going to have a ceasefire of sorts with MAGA when it comes to primaries. At least that's what I hope to achieve here. And crucially, I'm not going to ask MAGA to vote for the sorts of folks you and I are going to vote for. And I'm not going to ask you to vote for the sorts of folks that MAGA is going to vote for. But in our primaries, I am going to ask us to have one rule, which we both apply to our parties. We do not let anybody through the primaries if they take big money, if they take from PACs, if they solicit, for God's sake, from PACs or the George Soroses or the Elon Musks or the APACs or the da 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 da. Any of that, they don't get through the primaries. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. We'll see. It might not work, but at the very least, I am hoping that all Americans get better at understanding when their leaders are lying to them, because our leaders right now, I got to tell you, are awfully free with the lies. They're awfully comfortable insulting us on live television over and over and over and over again. And I'm disappointed that it works. They insult their own voters. They make a mockery of you and me over and over again. And we just do nothing about it because we are constantly so worried about the other side. But I got to tell you, it's not Drizzle. It's Dreidel, J. Dribble. I think it was Jay Dribble. I trust Jay Dribble. We're not going to agree on politics, but he gave me an honest assessment of the facts. And from what I can tell, he didn't leave here disagreeing with me either. Or excuse me, he didn't leave here agreeing with me either. But he did earnestly observe the facts, and he even corrected me and got me on course, which I appreciated. I trust Larry Laffer. A la the Leisure Suit Larry fella that's joined us in other streams. Even if we don't agree politically, I trust them to act earnestly. And it's people like that who I want to speak with. It's people like that who I want to work with. I want them to be agents within their own party. And I want you, Mailer Soon, and I to be agents within our party. And knowing damn well that we will be at each other's throats during the general election, during the primaries, we take those people who are in power now, and I'm going to be frank with you, we fuck them to death. Because they are servants for the oligarchs. Hakeem Jeffries, let me pick on my state, because I've been trashing folks from out of state. Let me pick on my state. Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat, in case you're wondering, servant of the oligarchs. Gary Peters, those are both my senators, by the way, also a Democrat, also a servant of the oligarchs. Gretchen Whitmer, my governor, also a Democrat, also a servant of the oligarchs. She signed away the rights to Michigan's water to Nestle for free. She allows data centers to come in and use our water for free. Servant of the oligarchs. I want them gone. Now, in Whitmer's case, she's not running for governor again. I'm horrified to think she might be running for president. Cross that horrible bridge when we come to it. But the point is, we have a different set of goals in the primaries. And we have an opportunity to work with MAGA to help us both out. And not every victory that MAGA is able to achieve is a loss for us. If, for example, MAGA is able to kick the people out of their party that lie to them, that's good for us. If we are able to do the same, that's good for us. If MAGA is able to get enough people in their party to join with us to get a 2/3 vote so that we can make it a constitutional amendment to overturn Buckley v. Vallejo, that means big money will be out of politics. And that will be both a victory for MAGA and for progressives. And the only reason that we're up here thinking that doesn't intuitively makes sense is because a lot of work has gone into lying to you and to me about what the other side believes. And I'll point out the people who are doing the lying, generally speaking, are the folks who are profiting from it. Give it some thought, and thank you for joining me today. We're on this space tomorrow. I will hope you will join me. If you enjoy the news, I'm going to send you over to Galactic News Network next. For most of you watching the vertical, you'll hate it. But at the very least, it's an opportunity for you to see what it is that we wacky progressives actually do believe. And mailer soon, I suspect you'll love it. GNN is inspired heavily by Space Ghost, and he just reads the news. He's a good guy. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake. Oh, and never trust Whitey. Oh, we have fun.